Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're gonna be talking about the back and forth that Shakur, Stevenson, and Ryan Garcia had not too long ago. We're gonna talk about Janibek, the current unified middleweight champion of the world, being glad or most will gladly face Terence Crawford. We're going to talk about Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez heating up. But before we get into that, man, if we could please hit the subscribe button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. You see what I'm saying? We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,100 mark, trying to hit that 3,200 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. What's going on? What's going on? How we feeling? How we feeling? Had a solid day. Solid day's work. You know what I mean? They let me out a little early, got me some rest, went to the gym, got some work in with my peoples, and we here. We chopping it up with the nation. What's going on? What's going on? Yasir Ali, what up? He said, what up, Slap? What's going on, brother? How you feeling? Marlon 2631 in the building. What type of car you got there in that? What is that? That's a Bugatti. Shout out to the boy Marlon. King of Brooklyn 3, what up? What's going on? Shout out to my Brooklyn folks, man. Shout out to my Brooklyn folks. I got a few of them, especially since I started this YouTube shit. And my pop from Brooklyn, too. Shout out to my my family out in Coney Island. You know what I mean? All that good stuff. J Cash, what up? Shout out to my Ohio fan. Ohio/Arizona fan. Shout out to the boy J Cash. Yasir Ali, where you from, man? Let me know where y'all from before we get the live started. Let me know where y'all from before we get the live started. What up? What up? Yasir, where you from, Yasir? Let me know. Marlon, where you from? Let's get the different cities in the chat. You know what I mean? Outside of North Philly right here, man. Where we from? King of Brooklyn. I mean, we got Brooklyn in the building. He said on the grill, but had to tune in. Oh, are you on your unk shit, brother? I see you. I see you. Jackson, Mississippi. Okay, that's a new one for me. Shout out to Jackson, Mississippi. Oh, shit. Omaha, Nebraska. What? The home of Terence Crawford. What's going on? What's going on? The home of Steve Nelson. The home of Brian McIntyre. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I might have to go over there to Omaha and see what's shaking over there. I'm going to hit up Mac and see what's up. You know what I mean? Kenny Massa, what up? ATL. Louisville. What's going on? What's going on? Shout out to ATL. I remember Meek Mill said that shit on his song. ATL, Louisville. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agent 86, what up? Where we from, man? Put y'all cities in the chat, man. Brothers and sisters. Put the chat. We got a few people from ATL, too. Shout out to ATL, man. They heavy in the boxing over there. Man, got some good trainers over there, too, from what I heard out there in Decatur and all that. Shout out to Brian Norman. I'm going to shout out to the Normans. You know what I mean? I think Coach Mustafa from over there in Decatur, I believe. Got some good things going on over there. That's what's up. That's what's up. Get the waves right. Should just be natural, Clay. I don't know. But I'm starting to peep. I'm getting white hairs, Clay. You gotta shoot me whatever product you be using to get your black hair back. Sorry, no, I'm fucking with you, Clay. What up? What up? Shout out to my boy Clay in the building. Mississippi, the cradle of civilization for North American indigenous folks. Shout out to Mississippi. That's definitely a new one. That's one I ain't hear before. I didn't even know I had people from Omaha that be tapping in. That's what's up, man. Oh, shit. Look, I just got a message from somebody. Look at that. Oh, shit. Crazy timing. He must have got the notification. It's called shave your head bald. I'm not ready for that, though, Clay. I don't know if I'll ever have a baldy. My father, kept his hairline. My grandfather, rest in peace to my grandfather, man. He kept his hairline all the way to his final days, you know what I mean? That hair just turned white. And I found a white hair behind my head, so you already know in time that shit gonna multiply, man. But how we feeling? Man? Yeah, I mean, for those of y'all who don't know, I'm pretty transparent with y'all, bro. But when it comes around to this time of the season and we transition into the fall and winter, I do deal with like a seasonal depression, and unfortunately, I am feeling these things. So you know what I mean, from the fall to the winter, pretty much until the spring, it's crippling depression. But you know, it is what it is, man. You know, I try to keep it as transparent as possible with y'all. So sorry if I'm feeling a little down in the dumps, but you know, I done been through crazy situations and y'all was there for me. So we gonna make it do what it do regardless, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. My boy Ralph. Shout out to my Cali family. Shout out to my boy Ralph. If I gotta go bald, it is what it is. I ain't got no weird shaped head, so we shining. That's Micah Gray hair. Shit. That boy hair completely different than mine. He got that nice straight hair like his mother. I ain't got none of that. I got that wavy shit. I didn't even know I had wavy hair until like a few years ago. Cause my mom always used to make me cut my hair short, so I never really like so short where I couldn't get waves. It wasn't until like my mom was strict, bro. She didn't play that shit. Like if you see my old pictures from high school, my hair was never like this high. It was always like tight. You know what I mean? Like even my beard, she made sure my shit was. You know what I mean? Oh, he giving me grays. That's Micah's gray hair. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Nah, thank God he a good baby. I don't be having to deal with that type shit. You feel me? Shout out to the boy Clado. Justin Jackson, where you from, Justin? I don't know if you told me before, man. I'm trying to see exactly where everybody at. You know what I mean? We international. We global for real, for real. We be having people tapping in from Australia, the UK, Spain, what was that? Japan. I seen somebody from Thailand before, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Shout out to my boy Ghost 787. Oh shit, Justin, I think you did tell me you from Cali. What part, if you don't mind me asking? Shout out to the West Coast. Sean Ramshire, Somalia. Woo wee! Shout out to my Somalians. Shout out to my boy Hashim Hassan out there in the UK. He's Somalian as well. Oh, you from Camden? Oh, okay. So you right across the street from me, brother. Bro, I could look out my window right now and see the Ben Franklin. The Ben Franklin Connect, Camden and Philly, man. Shout out to Camden. Massachusetts. Shout out to Sean Ramshire, my boy Slime from Massachusetts. His birthday just passed. All right. I think Justin Jackson told me where he from, but I forgot. He be joking so much, I be forgetting about the real shit he be saying. Yeah. Like and share the live, y'all. We letting a few more people get in here before we start. We're letting a few more people get in here before we start. Near LA, that's what's up, man. Shout out to my LA folks. You know what I mean? Shout out to the people in the LA area. That's a beautiful thing. My long lost sister, my dad found out he had a daughter like 3-4 years ago. I think it was probably closer to 2-3 years ago. And she was living in Cali the whole time. She just moved to Philly recently. Shout out to Monica. She was from out LA. Only been there one time. I gotta go, man. I gotta go to Vegas. Check out the boxing scene over there. Whenever my channel blow up and I start really getting them funds coming in type shit, I want to travel. I want to travel the country, and I'm pulling up on everybody. I'm going to where all the big boxing cities at. I'm going to ATL. I'm already in Philly. We going to Massachusetts. We going to check in on Jermaine Ortiz and them. We going to motherfucking Omaha. We need to go see Bomac and Dallas. Even though I don't want to see Derek James coon ass, I might just pop up over there, see what's going on over there. Houston, LA, Vegas, Arizona, Seattle, where the Benavidez is at. Let's go see them. Let's see what's up. I heard they got a crazy, slept on, but crazy boxing community out there in Hawaii too. Oh man. We gotta go to Puerto Rico. We gotta see what's going on over there with all them gyms Jake Paul been renovating. We gotta go to the Olympic Training Center. You know what I mean? Justin Jackson said he going to that Thurman fight next month. Okay, get us some footage, brother. Get us some footage. You got my grand, brother. Oh yeah, we gotta go to the UK. How could I forget about the UK, Australia, all that shit? But your boy don't even got his passport, man. Your boy don't even got his passport. My colleague at work said that that's like the driver's license to the world. So I need to go ahead and get that. Shout out to Jermaine Ortiz. Absolutely phenomenal fighter. Dog. Exactly what you want in a fighter as a boxing fan. Absolutely. That'll be fire vlogging, seeing the boxing scene everywhere. Facts. That's what I want to do. That's a mission of mine. But we got something in the works right now that I think is really going to take the channel to the next level. So, you know what I mean? The subs, they're a little slow right now, but man, with this shit that I got in place right now, shit about to really go crazy. Oh, you need a passport too? Shit, yeah, both of us. Shit, we need to go to that post office to get that done. Yeah. Send me some content, brother. You know what I mean? Shout out to the boy Justin Jackson. But anyways, we got some things that we currently need to discuss that's going on in the sport of boxing. It is slow. It's going to be a little bit slow until Saturday, because Saturday, Jerron Ennis is doing a media workout in South Philly. He's doing it at some playground or whatever. He's going to be there for a few hours, so I'm going to make sure that I take the time to go over there. I'm actually going to go right after work, probably get like an hour, probably be there for like an hour and a half, see what Boots got going on, and then yeah, I mean, hopefully I could be a part of the media scrum and I could ask him some questions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I get some good footage. And I'm going to have my basketball with me, Boots. So if you tuned in, you know what I mean? I know you close to the fight, so you probably don't want to, you know what I mean, do too much. We ain't got to play no one-on-one, brother. You in way better shape than me right now. You probably get off. But let's have a shootout. Let's do a three-point contest. Let's do something. Let's shoot it out and see who really like that, man, because I'm gonna tell you something. I got that 2K microwave badge in real life. I'm trying to tell you. So we gonna get that done. But you know, boxing is a little bit slow. You know what I mean? I did some research trying to see exactly what's there to talk about. And there's a few different things to talk about, you know, to be honest with you. So I want to go ahead and just address this, man. Shakur Stevenson has been on social media, you know, as he always is. There's nothing wrong with that. He's just promoting himself as a boxer. And he recently got into a back and forth with Ryan Garcia, and that completely went, you know, under the radar, in my opinion. I didn't really even see anybody talking about it. And, of course, you know, it's just words at the end of the day. It doesn't really mean anything. But I just wanted to address this because I definitely found it funny. Now, I don't know exactly how this came about. I don't know how this whole back and forth was initiated, but I think Ryan Garcia had started off with a tweet along the lines of quoting Roger Mayweather. Shout out to the Black Mamba, man. Shout out to, you know, all-time great trainer and Roger Mayweather. And he quotes him, the cliche, you know, it's pretty much a cliche at this point because people just use it for whatever. And it says, man, Roger Mayweather said it best. Most people don't know shit about boxing. Shakur Stevenson responds and says, especially you. And Ryan Garcia follows up with, you know, boxing for sure. The sucky thing is, the sucky thing. That's Ryan for you. It's still no one is lining up to watch you fight. That must fucking suck. So here goes Ryan Garcia, who, you know, always trying to play this like superstar card. How you know my jump shot nice, Yasir? You follow me on the gram? Huh. You gotta make your presence known, man. Hit me up in the DM. But Ryan Garcia always tries to pull this superstar card. You know what I'm saying? Always trying to pull this superstar card. And tries to make it seem like he got some type of superiority over these other fighters because he sells more. Now, I always said this is one of the most biggest misconceptions ever spewed out in boxing, and it's that Ryan Garcia is a superstar. I challenge you guys who seem to do your research and always seem to know the numbers, not anybody in the nation, of course, but, you know, my detractors or, you know, people who just seem to find a way to defend Ryan Garcia at all costs. I really challenge you guys to come up with some type of numbers that showed us that Ryan Garcia was a superstar outside of the fights that he's been in with other superstars. Because to be honest with you, you know, guys like Floyd Mayweather did pay-per-views with Andre Berto and did numbers that guys couldn't even do to this day. And that's what you consider a bona fide superstar. You know, Gervonta Davis fought guys who relatively didn't have any, who weren't like known names to casual, still did solid numbers. You know what I mean? Ryan Garcia has never really done any record-breaking numbers to let us believe that he's some sort of superstar. And I think that people, you know, especially in today's era, equate to having a lot of followers on Instagram to being some sort of star. When in reality, it's about how much can you sell and can you do it consistently? Are people buying in because of you? You know what I'm saying? So you said it was on your recommendation. Follow me on the gram then, brother. What you doing? So Shakur Stevenson follows up with this and says, nice narrative, but you can't trick me. I've been 10K plus in stadiums for years. Back when you had 3,000 people at your fight with Luke Campbell, people gave you opportunities because they felt like you was a lick. That's a fact. And I know exactly what Shakur Stevenson is referring to. Of course, he's referring to Gervonta Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like Gervonta Davis, you know, somebody who's notoriously, you know, been against fighting top tier opposition. That's one of the more famous, notable names on his resume. You know, Ryan Garcia is. You feel what I mean? And it wasn't necessarily because Ryan Garcia was the best or anything of that nature, but because Gervonta Davis knew that, for one, Ryan Garcia lacked IQ, he lacked skill, and he only had one punch in his toolbox. So he knew that with the intelligent fighter that Gervonta Davis is, or I perceive him to be, he knew that this was going to be an easy fight to figure out. It was going to be an easy win at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Gervonta Davis, who's this very big puncher, seen him get dropped by dudes like Luke Campbell, where he only sold 3,000 tickets according to Shakur Stevenson. But that gave Gervonta Davis a lot of confidence because he's like, all right, if this dude putting him on his back pockets, I know I could do the same. I'm faster. I'm a bigger puncher. I'm more explosive. I'm a better counter puncher. I got better time and all that. So, yeah, I'm sure that's what he was referring to in terms of, you know, they giving you opportunities because they felt like you was a lick. And I'm going to keep it real. The only reason why people be bringing up Ryan Garcia's name to this day, for the most part, is because they're attracted to him. This man hasn't done anything notable within the sport of boxing to make you talk about him so much in terms of naming him to be one of the four kings. Completely disrespectful to this day. And I'm glad Teofimo Lopez had brought it up in a recent interview because he was like, oh, Shakur Stevenson should have been mentioned, you know, amongst the four kings. You know what I'm saying? And I always said that. And I know that Shakur Stevenson wasn't at the same weight class at the time that they was doing this four king shit. But, you know, Marvin Hagler at one point in time wasn't in the same weight class as Wilfred Benitez and you know, the other three, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, you know what I mean, Roberto Duran. You know, but they eventually got to the same weight class. You feel what I mean? And competed all against each other. But you know, I always felt like Shakur Stevenson should have been over Ryan because Ryan Garcia, when you comparing him amongst his peers, he's the only one that has yet to win a world title. How did you let Rolly Romero get more world titles than you? Ain't you like this great boxer? Ain't you one of the four kings? How is Rolly Romero having a greater career than you now? You've been boxing since you was a baby. Rolly started late. He surpassed you. Whooped your ass too, to be honest with you. Like, you just made it easy. Beat you with a jab and a hook. Yank, yank. Easy night for Rolly Romero. All he had to do was keep that right hand up. And he plays smart. You know what I mean? But yeah, I see exactly what Shakur Stevenson is talking about. So far, man, this motherfucker's having a 10-8 round against Ryan Garcia. God damn. Ryan Garcia follows up and says, you don't research. But last time I checked, it was COVID protocols during the Campbell fight, and people giving away tickets to your fight doesn't count. So stop. No one knows you outside of boxing. You're just not it. That fucking sucks, but you'll never attract the fans. You don't have KO power, and you aren't entertaining like Floyd. I find that to be very ironic because didn't they say that Floyd didn't have no knockout power? Didn't they, like, how? So you saying that Shakur not, because you just wrote, but you'll never attract the fans. Like, basically because you don't have knockout power. Okay, Floyd didn't have knockout power. You know, especially at 47, he wasn't stopping anybody. He was getting unanimous decisions over everybody. You know what I'm saying? So how was Floyd able to attract fans with him not being a knockout puncher in the later half of his career? But Shakur, how does that apply to, how is Floyd the exception in that rule? And Shakur can't be. And like Ryan Garcia, like in his mind, he really thinks he's this megastar because he done been viral on TikTok and shit like that. And he got a few, you know, he got people following him on social media. Bro, the problem is you got all these followers, but they're not translating into sales. Probably because the majority of your fan base is little fucking kids who got to use their parents' credit card to make purchase for V-Bucks and shit like that. So, very, very interesting. Let's go on. Let me see. He said, Ryan, you lost a Rolly. So that's like a backhanded compliment for Rolly on Shakur Stevenson's side. He said, I would hate to be you, big star who's ass. Basically. But when I said it, I was a hater though. Said jealousy burns. So now Ryan Garcia is quoting jealousy as to why yo, now Ryan Garcia is equating the facts that Shakur Stevenson is putting out there to jealousy. Bro, this is not me caping for Shakur Stevenson whatsoever, because when he be tripping, I hold him accountable too. But to be real with you, what does Shakur Stevenson have to hate on you about? You've had 3 notable fights in your career. You're 0, 2, and 1. You've never won a world title. You never sold like you never outside of the Tank and what Haney fight. You ain't really do no spectacular numbers, brother. You ain't beat nobody notable. You haven't done. You've completely underachieved in your career. You had a way better amateur career than what you've ever done in the pros. Your IQ is low. You're one-dimensional. Footwork is trash. Terrible. Like you don't even. Your combinations are trash. Your hand. I already said that. Your foot coordination, your footwork is trash. There's a lot of shit about Ryan Garcia. He's extremely flawed. Not only that, but you're not coachable neither. And you cut corners habitually. You lack accountability. You got a lot of shit about you. Why the fuck would somebody be hating on you when you're a constant fucker-upper? Bella Faith, what up? Not said Floyd was entertaining, though. Shakur ain't entertainment. What was his last fight entertaining? I can name a few Shakur Stevenson fights that was entertaining, so I disagree with you. Not did you not find that William Cepeda fight entertaining? Was that fight not entertaining? How about the Oscar Valdez fight? Was that entertaining? How about the Jamel Herring fight? Was that entertaining? How about the Yoshino fight? Was that entertaining? Even everybody be making fun of Josh Padley, who's like a top contender in his division now, but that fight with Josh Padley, that wasn't entertaining to you? What is it that y'all describe as entertaining? Does somebody need to be knocked out cold? Does somebody need to get the dog shit beat out of them? See, me personally, I've been in boxing since I was a baby. So I'm looking at the sport completely different than a lot of people. What people find to be entertaining, I may find to be entertaining too, but we looking at the shit different. I find a good chess match in the ring entertaining. Seeing 2 intelligent fighters in the ring attempting to outthink each other and, showing that tenacity, showing their resiliency, their ability to adapt, that's very entertaining to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think nowadays it's like if y'all not beating the dog shit out of each other, then you're a boring fighter. If you're not rock 'em, sock 'em, if you're not standing directly in the ring with somebody. Yep, but Notch, this is what you're not understanding, Notch. A lot of people don't really know this neither. Floyd fought killers at 147 because they was open to fighting him because by the time he got to 147, he was the draw. So when you become this big legitimate star like Floyd, Canelo, Gervonta, bro, a lot of people are willing to fight you because fighting you could come with a huge gain, huge reward, and a fucking payday that they won't see anywhere else. See, Shakur Stevenson's in a point right now in his career where he hasn't really been given those huge opportunities. And you ain't got nobody to blame but Gervonta Davis for that. You know what I'm saying? Also, time really, I think what really hurt Shakur is that he's not really the biggest person. Lorenzo, you said Carlos Baldomir was no killer. Well, Carlos Baldomir, he was champion for damn near a decade. So he did something right. I understand what you mean, though. Like, he was slow. You know, that was easy money for Floyd stylistically, yeah. But Carlos Baldomir had a run. He had a run that a lot of people never, ever got to achieve in the sport. You know, nowadays, motherfuckers get a belt, and as quick as they get it, they lose it. But like I was saying, Floyd did fight killers at 47 but that was because the options were available to him. Shakur Stevenson has been looking for options habitually throughout his career and just hasn't been coming across them. Kind of like Floyd in his early years when he was at 30 and 35. I remember Floyd calling out guys like Prince Nassim Hamed. I remember him calling out 135 Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, damn, what the fuck was that dude name? I remember him calling out Costa Zoo, Tim Zoo Pops. I remember him calling out Costa Zoo, Freitas, everybody and their mom. Everybody and their mom. And nobody was willing to give him an opportunity. I remember Shane Mosley said something about having a toothache. They ignored him. They act like he wasn't there until he got himself in that position and having to go through hell, to be honest with you. He had to constantly fight notable name after notable name. He had to win belts and from weight class to weight class in order to be given that opportunity. You see what I mean? Until De La Hoya, you know, shout out to De La Hoya. He always had heart. You know what I mean? Always took on best competition, always fought the best. It took Oscar De La Hoya win to get people to want to fight Floyd. Carlos Baldomir beat Zab and won a belt. That's absolutely correct. But I remember Carlos Baldomir priced himself out of a fight with Floyd Mayweather because Floyd was been trying to get that fight. Floyd was heavily avoided, and that's where Shakur Stevenson is at right now. It is what it is. Like, you just got to keep winning. You just got to keep winning. You got to keep winning. Look how long it took for Terence Crawford to get his opportunities. Nigga about to be 40. You a few steps away. Crawford had to be in his late 30s. He'd been pro for how long? He'd been champion consistently for over a decade, but he was pro well before that. He just started getting his credit in the Earl Spence fight. That was like, what, 2023? People just started giving Bud respect 2 years ago. And it's finally being considered like an all-time great after this Canelo Alvarez win. Some people would take longer to get there than others, man. Some people come around at the right time and get the opportunities early in their career. Some people don't get it to the middle of their career. Some people don't get their just due or their opportunities until they're in the later part of their career. Some of them don't get opportunities at all. Like Andrade. I love Demetrius Andrade. Growing up, I used to study him habitually. He may never get his opportunity. And it's like this in life. Some people make it. It's always at different. Everybody's timing is different. Some people don't make it. There's some people that may have, success, but then, the politics of boxing may have fucked them over. Just you can look at the basketball. You can look at the basketball game. Michael Jordan. He had all the success in his career, considered the greatest basketball player of all time, if not one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Then you got a lot of people who, had a hang up because of the politics or whatever the case is, wasn't given opportunities. We never got to see how great they were. Then, there was other factors like Derrick Rose. He may have been the greatest point guard of all time if he wasn't so injury prone. If, Allen Iverson kept, his nose clean and, stayed disciplined and wasn't like a headache to these coaches or these teams or whatever, he may have been a career-long 76er. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people make it. Some people get a little bit of fame. Some people underachieve. Some people don't make it at all. That's just the game that we in. Canelo Alvarez messed up boxing. Man, listen, I'm going to say this. Canelo may have definitely taken a lot of fights away from the fans, but that shit didn't start with him, brother. That didn't start with him. Unfortunately, people been ducking. You talking about Donald Curry? Who you talking? Oh, no, you talking about – I'm still thinking you talking boxing. You talking about Steph Curry. Magic Johnson, greatest PG of all time, but I get it. I said no. I mean, that's a fact. That's a fact. But what I'm saying is, Derrick Rose, if he wasn't so injury prone, he may have had room to be greater than Magic. We'll never know. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of what ifs because Derrick Rose had the explosiveness, he had the speed, he had a solid jump shot, and he had it all, but his body couldn't keep up with what he had going on. Some people are resilient. Some people aren't so resilient. It is what it is. So I feel like people make these statements like Floyd fought killers at 47. You know what I mean? But they don't talk about the whole thing. Floyd was heavily avoided in his career. Heavily avoided. You know what I mean? But Floyd had to make those sacrifices. I'll never forget when he did that NBA. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. I remember when he used to sit down at the top ranked offices, and let's say it's like a fight date for October 3rd. He's like, yo, I want to get on this card. Oh, Floyd, man, we don't have enough money for you. We got a budget, and we don't have that much money for you. We can't do it. Well, how much y'all got? I don't know the numbers, but let's say they like, yo, we only got 10,000. I'll take it. Niggas not doing that nowadays, bro. They're not doing that nowadays. You got niggas like Edgar Berlanga out here thinking they bona fide superstars and not willing to humble themselves when they know they're not ready for them opportunities. Floyd literally was sitting in them Jones like taking less money just so he could continue excelling in his career. Those are the sacrifices that Floyd made early in his career that got him to where he ended up at the end of his career. One of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Terence Crawford had to sit. He had to hold that shit down and stay patient. He had to hold that shit down and stay patient when he knew niggas was lying on their name, lying on his name, aka top rank. He knew that they was marginalizing him. He knew that he wasn't getting paid what he was truly worth. He knew that they was shitting on his name, when they found out that he was possibly leaving top rank. He had to experience all those things. He had to experience all those things. He had to deal with the bullshit politics that came with boxing. He missed a lot of fights. That could have took him a lot further in his career. He could have got that Pacquiao fight. And I'm going to tell you, he would have stopped Pacquiao. 47 Bud would have stopped Pacquiao, and that would have took him to a whole different stratosphere in this boxing shit. But the politics of boxing didn't allow him to. He stood down, he took the bullshit on the chin, pause, and look where he's at now. I bet you Top Rank wish that they fucking paid him what he wanted or gave him the opportunities he was looking for now. Because they may have been a part of this opportunity. They may have been part of this huge event that was going on between him and Canelo Alvarez. They may have just been a part of it. Because Bud seems like a loyal dude. His actions show me he's a loyal dude. So Top Rank probably would have, stuck by him, given the fights that he wanted, built him up, made him a fucking bona fide megastar earlier in his career. Might have stuck around with them and probably would have cashed out on a stupid payday, getting a percentage of that Bud and Canelo fight. But that's what happens when you try to marginalize black fighters or had this perception that black fighters don't sell. Ain't that a motherfucker? Because that's a common theme in boxing today. And that always made me scratch my head because the biggest pay-per-view stars in boxing history were black men. Right? All you got to do is just look at the people that came before Floyd. Fuck Floyd. He a black man. Yeah, he helps make my case strong. But just look at the people that came before Floyd. Who were huge stars before Floyd? When you're looking at guys like, shit, we don't even got to go back that far. Before Floyd, there was what? Roy. Before Roy, it was what? Mike Tyson. Roy, I don't know if Roy wasn't necessarily known for his pay-per-view numbers, but Mike Tyson, yes. One of the most highest selling pay-per-view events of all time was between two black men, and I spoke about this before. Tyson and Lennox Lewis. right? Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, um, Joe Louis. They were all stars in their time. Jack Johnson, he was a fucking star at his time for his era. They ain't had pay-per-views back then, but you know what I mean. He was stars for their time, but they want to push this narrative that black fighters don't sell, so black fighters could pretty much be brainwashed to believing they not worth what they worth. Shit is crazy. I'll never understand it. All you gotta do is just look at the history, because I'm the type motherfucker, when you tell me something, I'm asking questions. I'm always asking questions. Is that really true? Is that really true? Okay, so if black fighters don't sell, who sells them? Oh, Mexican fighters sell. All right, well, name me some paper outside of Canelo Alvarez. Name some Mexican pay-per-view stars that are currently in boxing. You can't name them. You can't name them. The last Mexican outside of Canelo that was selling huge pay-per-views, that was De La Hoya. And what was that, like early 2000s? When he got retired by Manny Pacquiao, like 2008? Like 17 years ago? So, yeah, man, I don't even know how the fuck we got to this conversation, but yeah, man, shit just be cooking me, bro. I don't be understanding what the fuck Ryan Garcia be talking about. I don't think anybody be understanding him. Like I said, you know, for the Mazuma TV Awards, Ryan Garcia might get the Goofy of the Year. He might get the Goofy of the Year. Him and Teo, that's gonna be a close one. They might have to share that motherfucking award, man. They might have to share that award. They might have to share that award. I don't know who, you know. Teo might be in the lead, though. I ain't gonna lie. He might be in the lead. Well, everything he did this year. But whatever. It is what it is. We ain't gonna speak on that too much. And further news, I wanted to speak on this tweet right here from Janibek, you know, the current unified champion at middleweight. You know what I mean? Hasn't really been much press around the middleweight division as of lately, especially since Triple G and Canelo Alvarez left the weight, along with Jamal Charlo and stuff like that. But since then, there is a unified champion in the division. There's also Erislandy Lara, and there's also Carlos Adames. Now, I'm hearing that Janibek and Carlos Adames was supposed to be solidifying something for November 22nd, but they weren't able to do so. The fight fell through again. I don't know who's to blame. I'm not the one behind the scenes, unfortunately. But, you know, this is a tweet that had came directly from Janibek's, you know, official Twitter account, I guess. And he says, if Crawford agreed to fight me, I would gladly face him. And our fight would be the kind of match every friend would watch with excitement, not wanting to miss a single second. So he keeps it short and sweet, nothing disrespectful. You know what I mean? Janibek is pretty outspoken on social media. I've seen him say a few things and call out top guys. And, you know, he's been plagued with duckery as well. You know, a lot of people haven't really been willing to face Janibek. You know what I'm saying? And when you watch him, I understand why. That dude could fucking fight. Great. I think what stands out about Janibek the most from what I've seen is that he has very good timing. Very good timing, good accuracy. Look like he got some solid pop. And he a killer. He definitely a killer. So I can see why a lot of motherfuckers don't want to fight him, especially when he's not that well known, you know, in the boxing space. So you already know that money ain't going to look too good with him. Unless Turkey's backing it, that money ain't going to look too good going up against Janibek. So why would they take that risk when they could possibly get a bigger fight, right? I understand. Now, the reason why I'm sure Janibek is speaking on this whole situation and possibly fighting Terence Crawford is because Terence Crawford, you know, directly after this fight with Canelo Alvarez, he was talking about that he may possibly go to 160 pounds because if y'all follow Terence Crawford, he completely skipped the middleweight division. You know what I mean? He completely skipped the middleweight division, went from 54, where he barely had experience at outside of the, you know, Mazuma fight. He didn't have any experience at all. But he skips 160, he goes to 68 and defeats Canelo Alvarez, the current, you know, at that time, the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. So because he sees that he skipped that weight, he did say that going to 160 would be a stretch, but it's something, you know, that's possible based off of the things that he said. Now, there is some opportunities for Terence Crawford to fight, you know, either of the three champions in the middleweight division. And him versus Janibek would probably be the most dangerous one, to be honest with you. He could fight the Erislandy Lara, who, is the oldest current champion in the sport of boxing right now, and still dangerous due to his, crazy punching power that he's been putting on display lately. But he has slowed down. You know what I mean? He's not really throwing that many punches, and with Bud's still looking youthful, his combination punches being there, his activity, he has all of it, and his responsible defense. I think that he could definitely outwork Erislandy Lara. I think he could punch on Erislandy Lara, to be honest with you. Janibek might be a little bit of a tougher, more cautious approach for Bud. Might be a more cautious type of fight for Bud to have. But I think he could do his thing against Janibek as well, just based off of the experience. His athleticism, his ring IQ. I really think that he could get that off against Janibek. Carlos Adames, that was a fight that I was looking at as well, because these guys, they'll probably have the best storyline out of the other two champions, because these guys had a viral sparring session that had been around on the YouTube and social media world for years now, and it was a great back and forth. From what I understand, they were sparring at Gleason's, and Bud was bringing that dog out, walking to Carlos Adames. Adames was giving him some work, but Bud was just being Bud, the ultimate competitor that he is. And I think I could be wrong, but from what I recollect in the video, Adames ain't want no more. He stepped out the ring at the end of it. So from what I remember, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, but that might be the more interesting storyline out of the other two. But regardless, I would love to see Bud in the middleweight division if he doesn't retire. Me personally, I would like to see Bud retire. I would like to see him go out, go out at the top of the boxing game. I just like seeing boxers retire from the sport before the sport retires them. Not saying that that'll necessarily happen to Bud, but, it could definitely happen if you stick around too long. You know what I mean? This is a young man's game. And, Father Time is only going to give you so many passes. It's only going to give you so many passes. Eventually, it's going to catch up and let you know that you are no longer at your peak. Your work is no longer needed here at a championship level. You feel what I mean? So I would like to see Bud retire, but if he goes to 160, the Janibek fight, that's a dangerous fight. It's a fight he can win, but it's a dangerous fight. Erislandy Lara, that'll probably be the easiest fight. But Carlos Adames, that's a nice competitive scrap, and considering that y'all got history, that would be a good little storyline to, promote the fight with. So we'll see exactly where, I'm sure within the next few months, we'll hear something from Bud or his team as to, in regard to whether he's going to retire or, jump back in the ring sometime soon. Bernie the boxer doing interviews like every other hour. So I'm sure he's going to end up spilling the beans soon, because when you yap as much as him, you're going to reveal some shit. Eventually, you're going to reveal some shit. Unless he's just going to be talking about nothing the whole time. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Terence Crawford does, man. If he's able to walk away the game with 6 divisions under his waist, this dude is the definition of an overachiever, an all-time great, and just a phenomenal fighter. And I'm just happy that I was able to see him, work throughout the entire course of his career from start to finish. I was able to say that I witnessed a generational talent in Terence Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? So shout out to, one of the greatest fighters of the world, Mazuma TV's #1 pound-for-pound fighter of the world. And I believe he's going to be Mazuma TV's fighter of the year at the end of 2025. You know what I mean? So, ain't nothing really more to speak about outside of that. Now, I want to transition to the next topic. And it's a back and forth that Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez had gotten into. You know what I mean? And what I wanted to show you guys is how confident these guys are coming across in terms of, fighting each other. You know what I mean? Shakur Stevenson seems real optimistic, so I don't know if they're just sitting back waiting for an announcement or what. They probably will announce it around, like, my personal opinion, I think the fight's going to be announced the same day as that November 22nd card. Something just tells me that they're just waiting on that fight date to come around so they could announce it. If they end up fighting in February, that's December, January, February. That'll be a perfect amount of time to help promote the fight. You know what I mean? So it won't be too close to the fight date. That's my prediction. I think that's what's going to happen. But let me see. Let me find that. Let me find that back and forth that T.O. Well, it wasn't necessarily a back and forth. Shakur responded and nothing else really came about it. But this is Teofimo Lopez's thoughts on him possibly being the underdog going into the Shakur Stevenson fight. And Teofimo Lopez says, I'm sure the betting odds are going to favor Shakur Stevenson. The best time to make a massive bet on a takeover is now or never. So this is Teofimo Lopez pretty much confirming that he's going to be fighting Shakur. I don't think he would even speak about the possibility of betting odds or being the underdog whatsoever if a fight wasn't official or his eyes weren't set on the fight. Now, we know that Teofimo Lopez is a habitual liar, a compulsive liar, to be honest with you. So this may very well just be him pimping the media, as he would like to say, a.k.a. lying to the media or just lying to his fans. But, the fact that Shakur Stevenson is actually, invested in what he's saying and, pretty much going with the flow, it lets me know that things are looking on the up in terms of the negotiations. Now, Shakur Stevenson responds to this tweet and says, go lose all your money, people. So T.O.'s like, yo, bet on me. You know what I mean? We going to come up off of this situation. So do it now or don't do it at all. And Shakur's like, yeah, man, go ahead and do that so y'all can lose y'all money. So that's the back and forth that they had so far. I'm seeing a bunch of these, comments right. He said that nigga know he the B-side. I guess referring to Teofimo Lopez. But just because you the underdog don't necessarily mean that you the B-side. But I get what you're saying. Jan Red Corner Boxer said, no, I'll stick with Shakur. Wide unanimous decision. Thanks. Somebody wrote, who's faster? Who gives a fuck? That's just fans being fans. But yeah, that's the back and forth that they've been getting into. You know what I mean? Yasir said, I don't trust the cool kid. We gonna see. God damn. I mean, those was his words. You know what I mean? Like, if you a crack baby, what that mean? That mean you want something, right? Or at least you was born with that, addictive personality or whatever the case is. You feel me? But yeah, man, I don't trust Teofimo Lopez, period. I don't trust the racist. I don't trust a liar. And I definitely don't trust the cokehead. You absolutely right. Marlon 2631 in the building. He says, all jokes aside, Core and T.O. is a 50-50 fight. T.O. performs better when he fights elite comp. I mean, yeah, that's a fair assessment. That's your opinion at the end of the day. I do think from a skill set standpoint, I think that this edges slightly in Shakur Stevenson's favor. I do think that Shakur Stevenson is the more polished boxer. However, I do think that Teofimo Lopez is the more gifted fighter in terms of athleticism. Definitely the athleticism. He got a lot of God-gifted abilities T.O. has. Now, the problem with Teofimo Lopez is, and this has been my biggest criticism of him besides being a fucking racist and a liar, his mind frame as of lately doesn't match his physical abilities. You know what I'm saying? And I think that could be very dangerous for somebody like Teofimo Lopez. And I think that's personally why he lost his fight with George Kambosos. You know what I mean? I don't think it was because George Kambosos was the better man or, George Kambosos just rose to the occasion that night. He may have very well rose to the occasion. I'm not discrediting George Kambosos, but I think what played more of a factor in this fight was Teofimo Lopez's incapability of staying focused and sticking by the game plan, if he even had one. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like he was in there just winging shots, not thinking whatsoever, just trying to load up and get, Kambosos up out of there. And as a result, he got outboxed. Kambosos was the one who still composed under the fire. He stuck by his boxing. He stuck by his game plan. And that's ultimately why he was able to get that decision that night. And T.O. keep playing it like, the politics of boxing was what got him that L against Kambosos or his health issues or whatever. But I genuinely think it was a mind frame situation. You know what I mean? That wasn't T.O. being intelligent behind his jab, or, timing people coming in with shots like we've seen, when he was coming up under Top Rank. No, this was a unfocused Teofimo Lopez, an emotional Teofimo Lopez, and lack of discipline version of Teofimo Lopez. Now, what I've also seen in other fights. Now, Marlon, if you're talking in terms of like what they're capable of doing in the ring, like their physical attributes, I get it. I can see how you could look at this as a 50-50 fight. But I'm just saying, based off of the tendencies that Teofimo Lopez has, I'm very confident that Shakur Stevenson will pull out the W. You know what I mean? Teofimo Lopez has historically struggled with guys who have, side-to-side movement, a.k.a. lateral movement. He's had trouble with guys who, are good at countering, who have good timing, like Sandor Martin. And Teofimo Lopez is the type of dude that when he doesn't get his way in the ring, because he's been spoiled by Top Rank, he's been spoiled with the type of competition that he's been facing. Guys who are going to sit right in front of him like Steve Claggett and just let themselves get punched on by him. Teo's spoiled in that way. And that's why when he started facing guys who were mobile and were outboxers, he said, I don't want to fight guys. I don't want to fight guys that run. I want to fight guys who stand right in front of me type situation. That's how he's been spoiled his whole career, because he's been accustomed to fighting that certain type of style. Shakur Stevenson, he may actually take them chances, but he doesn't have to. And I think because he's so versatile from a defensive standpoint, I think he's going to give Teo a lot of trouble. Teo's not going to be knowing. He's going to have to adjust on the fly in order to have some type of success against Shakur. Because Shakur, can roll. He can roll with punches. You know what I mean? He could use his feet. He could sit in the pocket with you and make you miss by a centimeter. Like, he's very, very well versed in the defensive department. You know what I mean? And along with that, with Teofimo Lopez, how the way his face breaks up so easy and how his face doesn't really stand up to punishment too well, with Shakur Stevenson's type of accuracy, I'm under the impression that Shakur Stevenson will bleed that night. I think Teofimo Lopez's blood will be on the canvas, not because he's getting brutalized or anything like that, but with his face not being able to take punishment too well, and how the way his nose swell up and how he gets cut under his eyes and shit like that. I really think that Shakur Stevenson's sharp punches will really have an effect on Teo. Not where he's hurt or gets stopped or anything like that, but I could really see him getting broken up by them sharp punches that Shakur throws. He may not throw Anonymous, I definitely hear what you're saying. And it's without a doubt, he struggles against certain styles. That's something that I brought up habitually while being on YouTube. But what I'm going to also say is Teofimo Lopez easily, like, he may come into a fight with a certain mind frame, but once he gets that resistance in the ring, he's not capable of staying composed. And if you're not able to stay composed, that is a loss of focus, because that's one of the things that you should be stepping in the ring with. I had to tell myself that, because there were times where I would get frustrated in the ring when I wasn't having my way. You got to give yourself the mental reps where it's like, you got to stay focused, stay composed, stay composed, stay composed. If I'm telling myself to stay composed and I fail to do so, that's a lack of focus on my part. And I think that's exactly how Teofimo Lopez is. I think that he comes in with like this mind frame that he's going to do this, this, and that. Then it gets a little bit hard to accomplish those objectives. He gets frustrated as a result, and he throws things out, like he throws his intelligence and what he knows out of the window. That's a lack of IQ or a lack of focus, or maybe even both. So that's what I've always thought about, Teofimo Lopez. He's easily frustrated, and I think that when you get Teofimo frustrated, you got half of the job done. That's just what I personally believe. George Kambosos showed it. Jermaine Ortiz showed it. Sandor Martin showed it. And I know that he ended up getting some, close decisions that went his way in 2 out of those 3 bouts. But the struggle is there. The struggle is definitely there. You feel what I mean? Let me see. Yasir Ali in the building. Ramon says Shakur is mentally stronger than Teo. Well, he hasn't really been through much adversity, but based off of what they showed in the ring, Shakur may be very possibly stronger mentally than Teo for sure. Shout out to the boy Yasir. He said, "Who you got, Dev or Brian Norman Jr.? I can't wait for that fight. Got me itching like a crack addict. God damn. Okay, that boy a boxing fan for real." Well, I'm gonna say this, Yasir. I definitely feel the same type of excitement that you do. Pause. It's a phenomenal fight, a phenomenal card overall. I'm looking forward to not just that fight, Mason Noakes, Benavidez, Yard, Better Beeve, and Nicholson. I can't wait to see how Better Beeve looks after coming off of that loss and just being a little bit older. That's going to be interesting. I feel like there's definitely a fight I'm missing. There's definitely a fight I'm missing. Y'all just, oh yeah, my boy Ben Rodriguez, absolutely getting a unification fight in. You know, and I'm sure there's probably another fight I missed or two, but I mean, y'all can throw them in the comments and I'll mention them. It's a phenomenal card. Phenomenal card. But specifically, Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr., I think that Devin Haney is going to put on a great display of boxing. I think he's going to outbox Brian Norman Jr. Now, there's going to be some things that Devin's going to have to avoid in this fight with Brian Norman. Brian Norman does have good counterpunching ability. Brian Norman has a great level of composure that I'm sure Teofimo Lopez can learn from. And he throws punches in between other guys' punches, which can make him very dangerous because he can hit Devin with something he don't see. So I think that Devin just has to keep it simple. I think that he needs to be utilizing his movement. And whenever Brian Norman is attempting to, come forward and apply that pressure, and pretty much is coming up off of his feet and his feet not settled, I think that's when Devin needs to be throwing straight shots. You know what I mean? I think that Devin Haney needs to showcase that world-class jab that he has, pump that consistently to keep Brian Norman at bay. And, when Brian Norman freezes up off of the jab, you follow through with the right hand and just keep turning him. The more that you keep Brian Norman off balance, in my opinion, the more dangerous he's going to be. You know what I mean? If you overextending on punches, that could be the reason why your lights get put out because, Justice Saki did that, and we seen how the way it ended. So Devin Haney is going to have to fight a cautious, calculated, extremely disciplined fight. But a few things that I do know about Devin is that he's extremely intelligent in the ring. He's extremely disciplined. And even though you didn't like his fight against Jose Ramirez, he showed he showed great discipline following through with that game plan that Bill Haney gave him, whether you liked his performance or not. He showcased great discipline because of his ability to stay focused through the entire course of 12 rounds. Brian Norman, very strong, good counter-punching ability. Great inside work. So Devin has to definitely avoid that inside work. Brian Norman, he's gonna have to close that gap early against Devin Haney. He's gonna have to find a way to neutralize that jab. I don't know if it's gonna be feints or countering that jab. You want to get Devin Haney hesitant. You want to make Devin Haney hesitant in there, and with his previous trauma, from his fights where that fight he got cheated in, it's possible that he may be discouraged of Brian Norman's power. I mean, that's a possibility. So Brian Norman has to make Devin Haney doubt his jab. I think that if he's able to get Devin Haney to doubt his jab, effectively punch the body and make Devin Haney a sit and duck, there is some opportunities for a knockout. You know what I mean? So I can see this is going to be a competitive one. This is going to be a tough fight for Dev. It's going to be a tough fight for Dev because another thing about Brian Norman too, he comes across as this dude who he's stoic in the ring, meaning that, completely emotionless. You won't ever know. Brian Norman, his face doesn't change regardless of the circumstance. He could be in total control of the fight. His face wouldn't change. He'd be hitting the canvas like he did against Boca Chica. His face don't change. He could be getting hit with some good shots. His face don't change. He could be getting off on you. His face don't change. So I don't even know why I brought that up, to be honest with you. But this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one. But I do think Devin Haney is going to pull out the decision. But I'll tell you what. If Brian Norman defeats Devin Haney or if he knocks Devin Haney out, his stock is going to shoot through the fucking roof, bro. And Devin Haney's going to have I think he's going to have a tough time bouncing back from that one. Because then you already know what the perception is going to be. Oh, Devin Haney can't take a punch. Ryan Garcia ruined him, blah, blah, blah. So that's a great competitive scrap. I like it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I had somebody just ask who you got in the main event. I got David Benavidez stopping Anthony Yarde late. I think Anthony Yarde is a great athlete, good athleticism, good explosiveness, good power. He got some speed as well. And he got some dog in him too. Like Anthony Yarde ain't no hoe. You feel what I mean? But I do think that Anthony Yarde is most dangerous at like mid to close range, to be honest with you. I think with the great jab that David Benavidez has, he could break Yarde up from the outside. I think he can make Yarde miss a lot, overextending on shots and being complete. I think that Benavidez could do a fantastic job with keeping Anthony Yarde on the outside. You know what I mean? With that type of jab that he got and the combinations he could throw from the outside, I think he could really break Anthony Yarde up. And once Anthony Yarde is like loading up on these shots and, he's slowly fatiguing in the later rounds, I think that Benavidez could swarm him. Now, I don't know if Benavidez necessarily wants to take that approach. I think that'll be one of his best bets, to be honest with you, to really just neutralize Anthony Yarde's punching abilities. I think that if he keeps him at the end of his punches, that Anthony Yarde is going to have a tough time getting his offense off, because there's not many fights that you could see on Anthony Yarde's, career where, he's boxing from the outside and, just completely punching somebody face the fuck in from the outside, or, at least he didn't do that against anybody notable. Like when I see Anthony Yarde stopping people, he usually got them against the ropes and, he just breaking them up, from close range. I think as long as Benavidez stays off of them ropes, doesn't allow it to be like a close range type of fight, and he keeps him at the end of his jab, and turns the pressure up late, I think he could stop him. I think he could stop him in the 11th round. That's what I'm calling. I think that Anthony Yarde is going to be fatigued, and I think that Benavidez is going to hurt Anthony Yarde to the body. David Benavidez has his underrated ability, in my opinion, to really place devastating body shots. I done seen them body shots bring the hoe up out of niggas a few times. That Caleb Plant fight, Caleb Plant was doing his thing till he got hit to the body. Then he was holding on for dear life for the remainder of the fight. Demetrius Andrade was letting them hands fly. He was lighting Benavidez up. So Benavidez hit him to that body, took all the fight up out of him. When you have them type of abilities where you're a sharp puncher to the body and you know exactly where to place shots, that's a dangerous ability to have. Pagapati say you rooting for B. Norman. I ain't surprised. My boy don't fuck with Dev at all. Historically, from what you said, I can tell you don't fuck with Dev. So I ain't surprised. But Brian Norman, and I heard James Toney say some shit like experience don't mean nothing. I totally disagree with that. Shout out to the guy, James Toney, but I heavily disagree with him. I think that experience really plays a factor on why a lot of people win or lose. You know what I mean? Like I honestly thought that, outside of Benavidez just bringing that dog, just out dogging David Morrell, I think that he beat David Morrell because he was the more experienced fighter. He done been in them situations more than David Morrell. There's a lot of shit David Morrell ain't never deal with in the ring until he fought Benavidez. So I think experience played a role in that. Mayweather Canelo, I think experience played a role in that. Canelo in his last few fights with like Edgar Berlanga, Jaime Munguia, I think experience played a part in that. Wait, what? Wow. Anonymous, why you bringing up Shakur? Oh, okay. Bella Fish says Core versus Lopez, same height, nearly same reach, and both are skilled boxers. I think Core is slightly faster. Interesting chess match. Okay. I don't know if he's faster like hand-wise than Teofimo. Shakur is not the fastest. He has like quick reflexes and stuff like that, but he don't necessarily got the fastest hands. Like he got decent speed, but I think, like I said, I think that Teofimo Lopez is the better athlete. But I do think that Shakur is the more skilled fighter. That's just my opinion. I think he's way better defensively than Teofimo Lopez. I think he's the more accurate puncher than Teofimo Lopez. I just think he got the better IQ. I think that Teofimo is more gifted. I think he was given more like yeah, I do. Yeah, I agree. I think Teo has better hand speed than Shakur, but I think Shakur is the more skilled fighter. I think he's the better chess player in there. And it's gonna show. It's gonna show when Teo loading up on them big, like trying to get into them leaping hooks and shit like that, and he's missing by a country mile. And TF and Shakur Stevenson, letting these combinations go, and he's really making his mark on Teo. I think Teo is going to start to break down from a mental aspect. You know what I'm saying? So I think Teo is going to be doing a whole lot of missing. And if Shakur uses legs, it's over. If he uses his legs and mixes his offense up in there, Teo going to be lost in there, bro. He's going to be absolutely lost. You know what I mean? And I think that inside work from Shakur going to break Teo up too. I think Shakur got a very underrated inside game. Eugene Pearson says, am I the only one who wants to see Canelo and Terence rematch? Yes. Yeah. I think that if they were to rematch, I think Terence would have more success. He'd probably even stop him. Like I honestly would like to see both guys retire. I would like to see both guys retire, bro. The press conference between Virgil and Lubin, I think it was either today or yesterday. Let me see. Let me check that out. I don't know exactly what was said. I didn't see anything controversial hit the airwaves between either one. I didn't hear them get into like any type of like back and forth or anything heated. But let me see. Where is that? Yeah, I'm looking at it. Well, it came out yesterday. Only thing about Lubin, he felt disrespected because of the poster. I do remember seeing that clip, and he ripped the poster up in front of Golden Boy. So, you know what I mean? I'm assuming that Erickson Lubin is extremely motivated behind that. But, at the same time, you're fighting on a Golden Boy card. You're fighting in Virgil Ortiz's hometown. Of course, they're going to center it around Virgil. I don't know what you're necessarily disappointed by. They don't owe you any respect. You need to go in there and earn your respect. To be honest, this ain't a PBC card. It's a Golden Boy card. You going over to their side of town, and you looking to prove yourself. So of course they're gonna treat you like shit. You're gonna have to earn every round that you get in there, brother. You know what I'm saying? And that's what kind of threw me off with O'Shaquie Foster, because he's saying that he feeling disrespected because he the champion and he the B side in this Stephen Fulton fight. It's like, bro, first of all, Stephen Fulton, even though he's going up to challenge for your belts, he's a 3-time world champion in 2 different weight classes. He's a PBC fighter, and you're fighting on a PBC card. And he's a current champion, just like you. He ain't no has been. He's a champion right now. Not in the division that he's currently facing you in, but he's a champion nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? So why do you think that you deserve to be, if you're a top-ranked fighter, why do you feel like you need to be on the A side on a PBC card against a PBC fighter who is, to be honest with you, more accomplished than you and probably a bigger name? But, hopefully, O'Shaquie, just like Lubin, hopefully he uses that as motivation to really show these people exactly who he is. So, yeah, I didn't really get to see the press conference, but in terms of what I think about the fight, I think Erickson Lubin has some opportunities to make this fight tough for Virgil or even pull it out. You know what I mean? I think he's going to have to take a similar approach to what he took against Jesus Ramos and, just try to box and, you know what I mean? Don't get too much into like these firefights or 50-50 exchanges with him because we all know what type time Virgil going to be on. He's going to be loading up on all his shots. You know what I mean? He's going to be throwing shots to the body, throwing shots to the head. And this man spar every day. So he's going to be in tip-top shape. You're going to be blasting for 12 rounds and you're going to have to, be responsible with your defense and make him pay for, them big shots that he's throwing. You know what I mean? That timing, that speed gonna beat that power every time. That timing gonna beat them power shots every time. You just gotta, you gotta box smart. So hopefully, Erickson Lubin doesn't go in there with this chip on his shoulder where he feel like he gotta push Virgil back because that might fuck around and put him on a highlight reel. He already done been on one before. You already done got put on a highlight reel. I don't think you done been on a couple highlight reels. How the way you looked against, how your face looked against Fundora, and how you got flatlined by Jamel in one round. You need to box smart, brother. You need to box smart because Virgil, he not like this one punch knockout artist, but he got the type of power he pack you up if you lacking. So hopefully Lubin fights a smart, disciplined fight. Make Virgil Ortiz pay for loading up on these big shots and missing. Hopefully you can catch him off balance with some shots and put on a great display of boxing. But you got to stay focused. When shit get hot, you got to stay focused. Don't sit there and try to trade with that man. I'm telling you, that'll be the type of fight where it'll go completely left if you take that approach. So this needs to be a very, very disciplined and focused type of game plan that Lubin needs to have, because if not, he's going to come up short. And to be honest with you, considering Lubin's situation right now, this will probably be his last big opportunity to possibly get a world title. Just my personal opinion. He's still young, so, I could be wrong. That if he loses to Virgil, he might find another opportunity down the ladder. But I don't think Lubin got many more opportunities to become a world champion, to be honest. He said, Ralph, he was very disciplined against Jesus Ramos. Lubin was very disciplined against Jesus Ramos, but Virgil was a bit more intense than Jesus. He lets his hands go more than Jesus. So this is going to be a little bit more pressure. He's going to definitely feel uncomfortable throughout the, certain times throughout the fight. He just needs to stay composed. Even when shit not going his way, he got to stay composed and keep fighting his fight and not allow Lubin to take over the pace of the fight or control the type of fight that it is. Because the moment that he allows Virgil to do that, he done. The moment that he allows Virgil to control the tempo, like the pace of the fight, and pretty much control what type of fight it's going to be, whether it's going to be on the inside, whether he's going to be boxing at range. If you allow Virgil to control the narrative consistently throughout the fight, you're done. You're cooked. So, yeah, man. I ain't going to lie. I got Virgil winning this one. I think his work rate, I think his conditioning, his dog, his constant, Virgil is very stubborn in there. So, like, if you ain't really punishing Virgil, you're not going to really deter him from being himself. That's why I think Boots will beat him, because I think Boots is going to run him into a lot of shots that's going to make him second guess shit. But Lubin, I don't know if Lubin has that type of fluidity offensively that Jerron Ennis has to really make Virgil question himself. If you could get Virgil to question himself or second guess what he's doing in the ring, you might be all right. And Lubin got some respectable pop, but I don't know if he's going to be willing to empty the clip like a Jerron Ennis would be. I don't know if he's willing to take those chances, especially considering what he's been through in his career. You know what I mean? But it's a great fight. I would have much rather have seen Virgil try to get a world title fight, but you know how Golden Boy be. I would have much rather seen him with Xander, but what can we do? We got any last questions before we get up out of here, people? Mouth all dry and shit. I've been talking for an hour and 15. Sheesh, with no water. Bella petty. Whenever I see somebody call Canelo Cinnamon, I already know that they being petty. Cause I ain't never heard Canelo call himself that. So as soon as I see somebody call Canelo Cinnamon, I already know what take time they on. Ramon, what up? How we feeling? Shout out to the 23 people. We had some good viewership today. Shout out to the chat. Great conversation as well. You know, ain't too much joking. You know what I mean? Just straight boxing talk. Yasir says, "What you think Keyshawn Davis coming back and thoughts on him overall?" I think eventually he'll come back, but I do think that he's on top ranked shit list right now, and I think they're gonna sit him out for the rest of the year. That's what I think. I think they're gonna let this like whole situation bypass, and it's gonna be tough because Keyshawn did a lot of things within that week that really put his reputation down the drain, whether it was him missing weight, getting into drama with people and, not being apologetic after all the drama that he done put that company through and pretty much the company losing money. It's going to be tough it's going to be a tough process to build him back up. You know what I mean? But I do think he's coming back, just not, within this year. Keyshawn Davis is definitely self-sabotaging. Absolutely. And thoughts on him overall, he's talented. He can fight. He's a great fighter, but in terms of like his abilities, I think he has a lot of potential. He's a threat. Like he could really fucking rumble, but he does a lot of things. I think he gets in his own way. And there's people that's like that. Like I said earlier, like a constant fucker-upper. You know what I mean? Where like he may have a good opportunity in front of him, or he finally gets a moment where it's his time to shine, and he end up doing some fuck shit. But I do think that Keyshawn Davis has some underlying like mental health issues that a lot of people aren't really talking about. This man done said that he been 302 before, like pretty much sent to like a what's that shit called? Like a mental asylum or some shit like that. Like he done struggled with mental health issues prior to being known for boxing. So it's like I think that he needs to genuinely get some help. Understand why he does the things that he does, and have some people around him that's gonna have his best interests and not allow him to crash out or do anything self-sabotaging moving forward. Because I think if he puts himself through another situation like that, then they just gonna completely blackball him from the sport. These guys are in the business to make money. When you start fucking with these big wigs paper, then they gonna make an example out of you. So Keyshawn just gotta be very careful, man. He got to think about his son that he said that he has. He has to think about his family, because it's not guaranteed that his brothers will be in that situation to help feed them. So, he needs to take advantage of the moment while he has it and create generational wealth before it's all said and done, because this boxing shit is a really small window. Keyshawn, what, 20, early, mid-20s? You ain't got that much time left. You got a solid decade before, people saying that you lost it. So you need to go ahead and motherfuckers only fighting twice a year anyway. So you need to go ahead and rack them fights up, get in some big fights, make some good money. You know what I mean? Negotiate what you feel like you worth and start getting your shit together, cuz if you slip up like that again, ain't nobody going to want to do business with you. And you might fuck around and become a coach, because you might end up becoming a coach or something, because that boxing shit ain't gonna work out for you. And then you're gonna be blaming everybody else except yourself for why you blew your opportunities. It's either you climb your own ladder or you dig your own hole. You choose. You know what I mean? Play the game or watch the game play you. It's really that simple. Yeah, Keyshawn could rumble, bro. He got some big fights on the horizon, bro. Some big fights that he could be a part of in the near future. He just got to act accordingly. But he definitely lost a fan of me and a few other people because of how the way he be moving. Lamont definitely need to vacate that WBA. I think motherfuckers be keeping it. And Jamil said that because they corny. But I genuinely feel like they be using that as like leverage at the negotiation table. Like, oh, I'm a champion right now. You know what I mean? So y'all got to pay me this, and that. I think they use that as like leverage. You know what I mean? Because current champion got a better ring to it than a former champion. So I think they do that for that. Or they just be using it as like a flex or something. Or they try to use it as some type of backup plan. Like, all right, but if I lose at 40, I can just go back there on the 30 and still be a champion. You know what I mean? So I didn't entirely fuck everything up. I mean, yeah, I took a loss, but I'm still champion here. So I'll just go back down to there and defend my title and still get big checks. All these sanctioning bodies corrupt anonymous. We know this. WBC, WBA, the WBO, the IBF. Even though the IBF the strictest, historically, I mean, they could be bought too. It is what it is. But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. Yeah. They be holding them belts without defending, but yeah. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that another time, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. Y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out. That'd be very much appreciated. You see what I mean? If y'all appreciate the content, if you appreciate the Boxing Talk overall, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You feel what I mean? We're trying to get the 4K by the end of the year. So if we're able to do that, it'll be because of y'all, and we'll be highly appreciative of that. Until then, y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. I'll be back at y'all with another live 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world. I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.